Jennifer, are we good to start?
Hi, Sandra, just turned 9 a.m. We have everyone except Albert, so we do have quorum.
Okay.
If you want to start or wait for Albert.
I think we can start. I'll share anything that we're missing in between. So calling the meeting to order, Sandra Boland from Riverside. And we have confirmation of quorum. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Julia so she can go over the agenda review.
Okay. All right, so today we have, after public comment, we're going to have the approval of the minutes and review of the action items from the October PSC meeting. In terms of informational items, we have some HR1 updates. Our release, we have some upcoming releases and a policy update, followed by benefits Cal, the collaboration model, going over the CalSAWS learning exchange, and then the transition update before the team goes over our quarterly performance trend. And then our state partner update. Andrew, back to you.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, and just a reminder for public comment, public has the opportunity to speak on any item not on the agenda. Public comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, except that a speaker using a translator shall be allowed up to 6 minutes. Note, the public may also speak on any item on the agenda by waiting until that item is read, then requesting recognition from the chair to speak. All right, moving along to any approval of the minutes and review of the action items.
Wait. We need the public comment.
Oh, do we have any public comments? I don't see any, so we can keep moving. Okay, then approval of the minutes and review of the action items. So I'm going to hand it over to Julia to review.
Yeah, there were no action items, Sandra.
Okay, and do we have approval of the minutes?
This is Albert, Region 5, and I motion to approve as written.
And
I'm also
Region
here.
3, sorry. This is Rachel from Region 3. I second.
All right.
Thank you, Albert and Rachel.
Clarissa?
I approve.
Lynn?
I approve.
Eduardo?
I approve.
Janae?
Approved.
Sandra?
I approve.
Dell?
I approve.
Sean?
Approve.
And Sandra, the other Sandra.
Approve.
All right. You can move on.
Okay, next up we have HR1 updates, and I have Julia, Roger, and Jerry that will be on this.
I'm going to cover for Julia. This is Michelle Peterson, so I'll highlight a few items on this slide. I think we talked about this at our last meeting, the standard utility allowance subsidy. So that effort has been implemented and is available in production now. We have our changes to Medi-Cal policy effective January 1st, the asset reinstatement, and then the expansion freeze. Those items are currently being tested and on track for implementation in that priority release on December 21st. And then as we get into January, our 2601 release, a couple of HR1 items related to the SUAS change. We have, we're adding a new energy assistance income type. So the income type, the energy assistance payment is now, there's a federal payment and there's a state payment. So we needed to add a new income type to account for the two different funding there. And then there's a batch process associated to SUAS that we're making some changes to, and that'll be also in January. And as we get a little further into May of 2026, we have an SCR to add counties that are not opted into the return mail process. We will be opting those counties in to the return mail process, and we will also, in that effort, implement where the new address that we get that's from a verified third party will automatically update the address in CalSAWS. We'll send the applicable notification, which has to do with utility expenses or shelter expenses, and we'll do a journal entry. So that is one, I think, of 3 mail address update efforts that we have coming in the next year. All right, on to the next slide. So as we move further in 2026, we start getting into some of our Medi-Cal changes associated to HR 1. And so we're looking to, and this applies to both CalFresh and Medi-Cal, the redefining of the non-qualified citizen definition. So there's that in June, and then they're changing the regular Medi-Cal timeframes for when a customer can request that. And we get further in, some other changes for CalFresh in July, and another deceased member verification that's going to come as well. And then we get to the big September of 2026. So this is where we're going to introduce and implement changes for the work requirements for Medi-Cal. So these are our Medi-Cal participants that now will be required to verify that they're working or volunteering. Similar, what I'm hearing is very similar to the CalFresh ABOD population. So that is coming. And then we also have the 6-month redetermination Magi, that new adult group. That is another big significant effort. The team internally has drafted a work group recruitment for those 2 things. It'll be a 1 work group, both items. So that should be coming out to you real soon to get county volunteers for that work group. And then as we look to wrap up 2026, we have another address change implementation. And this is associated to, we're going to check the customer's address from that third party before we mail packets. So before we mail Medi-Cal packets, party packets, star 7s, we'll go out to that third party, look to see if the address has been updated. If it has, we'll update the address, send that shelter verification, and do that journal entry. So hopefully get those before we're mailing. And I was going to say something else about that. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, on to the next slide. Just a couple left here. And then these are all items that are still to be determined. We haven't landed releases here yet. So still definitely more to come monitoring these. Lots of work going on between CalSAWS and CalGEARS and DHCS working together on all these Medi-Cal items. You'll see there the one that is still TBD is the national address database verification for Medi-Cal population. So very similar to the national accuracy clearinghouse that we have for CalFresh, which is later in 2026 as well. It's not associated to HR1, but we'll be verifying with FNS essentially. Is the customer getting CalFresh in another state? This is very similar. Is the customer getting Medi-Cal? We have an address in another state. So that is still TBD, but we are definitely monitoring that. And then all of our ABOD items in that last column, closely monitoring that with CDSS, working with them. We have some on-site meetings coming up with them in December to work with them on, they want to finalize policy, and then, so we can get final policy so we can determine release, and the state will determine when counties will resume the ABOD policy. So lots of activity going on. I think that is the last slide for the HR1 items. And then I'm going to pass it to Roger, who's going to cover the next couple slides.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Good morning, everyone. So in addition to the HR1 policy system changes, the project also has several CalFresh system enhancements underway that are focused on improving CalFresh processing and reducing error rates. This slide highlights the changes currently in progress and scheduled for upcoming releases. Each table represents a specific release and includes the system change number associated with the effort, the focus area being addressed, and a brief description of the system updates being implemented to help resolve that scenario or that issue. For example, in our upcoming January release, there are 5 system changes across noticing, eligibility determinations, fiscal functionality, designed to help improve CalFresh error rates. This includes updates to notices of action, the addition of new negative action reasons and expense types, as well as several eligibility related enhancements. I'm not going to go through each specific SCR, but I do want to highlight just a few key updates in the upcoming releases. In March, we have the automation of the payment verification system, data processing, which is scheduled to be implemented in that month with our March release. This will remove the need for any manual data entry. Additional enhancements will be made to a NOAA logic to account for more data points and multi-month EDBC scenarios before a notice is suppressed. So those are some of the highlights going in March. On the next slide, we have additional system changes planned for future releases for our May, November 2026 releases that are still in design, in the design phase. These updates focus on several areas, including EDBC, fiscal, skip benefits, and data collections. Next slide, please. So moving to the next slide, we have our HR1 outreach efforts. Key updates from our last meeting include the county work group sessions held on October 28th, where DHCS and CalSAWS walked through property scenarios related to the January 2026 medical changes. On November 4th, an overview of the expansion freeze policy was provided, and upcoming on December 9th, there will be a walkthrough of the planned CalSAWS system updates associated with the expansion freeze. Next slide, please. Regarding our able-bodied adults with dependents efforts, the project has hosted 2 CalSAWS learning sessions. One was on October 21st. The second was on October 22nd. We had over 400 participants attend these sessions. On October 27th, the PRT environment was updated to enable ABOD functionality, allowing counties to walk through and familiarize themselves with these features. Now, this functionality will remain active in PRT through February of 2026. I know the slide says January. This is a recent change. We received a request and we'll be extending that functionality to be available through February in our PRT environment. And then lastly, the ABOD Quick Guide was published and distributed to counties on November 7th. Next slide. Regarding our HR1 work groups, as many of you are aware, the project established 5 HR1 work groups. We have our CalFresh processing to reduce error rates work group, our ad hoc reporting work group, ABOD enhancements, income verification, and data analytics work groups. On October 16th, the project held the kickoff meeting for the CalFresh processing and ad hoc reporting work groups, and both those work groups began meeting weekly during the week of October 20th. Regarding work group 3 and 4, ABOD enhancements and income verifications, those have been postponed to mid-January. Reason for that, as we heard from Michelle, regarding ABOD, we are still waiting state policy guidance on the implementation. The state has scheduled a working session with CalSAWS at the beginning of December to review the open policy questions, identify any gaps, discuss options and feasibility, and determine potential effective dates. Income verification, the state is in the process of procuring a new tool, an employment verification tool named Trube. The project is awaiting additional details regarding procurement status. customization, configurability capabilities around that tool. So those 2 work group sessions, again, have been postponed to mid-January, and the work group members have been notified. Work Group 5, Data Analytics, they held their kickoff meeting on October 29th. And just to clarify, this work group is focused on the long-term analytics and reporting solution, while our ad hoc reporting work group is focused on the immediate HR1 reporting needs. Across all these work groups, the primary goal is to identify and prioritize system requirements. Next slide. Now, CalFresh Processing Work Group, the objective of this work group is to identify and prioritize CalSouth system requirements that can help reduce CalFresh error rates across counties. The work group includes representation from 16 counties across all 6 regions, along with state representatives. To date, the work group has met 5 times. Key activities include walking through the end-to-end CalFresh process, identifying the top 3 error areas are encountered by counties, conducting deep dives into income-related errors, expense-related errors, and household composition errors. The work group has also started and have continued to define system requirements targeted at reducing error rates. And next step for the work group is to continue to refine and prioritize those identified requirements based on prevalence and impact, and also aligning on the final set of recommendations that will be made by the work group. For our next slide, I'll pass it over to Jerry to provide an update on our ad hoc reporting work group.
Thanks, Roger. So the ad hoc reporting work group, just to kind of set the context here, we actually started work on this effort prior to the work group being set up. We'd worked with a couple of counties to identify 6 queries for 2 populations that we wanted to report on, the Medi-Cal and the CalFresh population. On those initial queries were refined and made available for the 58 counties by October 31st. And then they were also taken to the work group, which was running in parallel, to develop further requirements and further refine those population samples. So we've had completed 5 of the 7 sessions so far. Identified 44 requirements. Out of those requirements, 28 of them are pretty clear, so we're begun work on those and plan to deliver the updates to the queries in mid-December, so around the 18th. The 16 others need additional clarification, so we'll be working on getting those details worked out and plan on delivering those beginning in January, the first full week of January, so January 9th through the end of the month on those. And then if any other requirements come out of the last 2 sessions, we'll add those to the plan as well. And then just as a reminder on this, since the policy isn't final, some of the assumptions may change along the way. And so if those assumptions change, we'll go and make the updates as needed to these queries and these samples of populations. I'll pause for any questions.
Back to you, Sandra.
Thank you. All right. That was a lot of information. Any questions or comments from the PSC? I see Sean Emil.
Yes, thank you. My question was for Michelle. I know you mentioned in your review of the SCRs, one that was tentatively scheduled for June 15th on changing the qualified non-citizens definition, but then we also had another one listed as TBD that also said non-citizen eligibility update. So is one just changing the definition and the other changing the eligibility criteria? I mean, like the actually start running and losing eligibility, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Cal, and one is for CalFresh.
Can you repeat that again, Michelle? I'm sorry.
Medi-Cal, and one is for CalFresh.
So the CalFresh is the TBD.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I'll make that clearer in next time.
No. I thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. I don't see any other hands up.
Yeah, do we have questions in the room, Sandra?
Oh, we do. Sorry, I can't see those. So
Sorry. Just raised my hand over here. I don't have a virtual raise hand. Okay, just a couple of questions on the Medi-Cal updates. The dental coverage, the elimination of dental coverage mid next year. Is there anything that needs to happen in CalSOS? Nothing. It just goes away.
Because that's all on the DHC side or meds. Our
Meds will do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then same thing with premium payments and co-pays the following year. Meds does all of that.
Premium payments, there may be something in CalSAWS. Yes, that I don't hold until the.
But potentially something in
There may be
CalSAWS.
some minor things.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be the collector of any payment or
Right.
anything, but.
But to know that it got
communicate
made,
with
right?
Maximus.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think there's an API.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's, we'll have to get the payment information and.
So we know if
Yeah.
a discontinuance is
Yeah.
necessary. Okay, on the ABOD piece, the CalFresh ABOD. I want to make sure I'm crystal clear on what the differences are. So there's a state ABOD waiver that's being lifted, right? And that the functionality is already there. And when ABOD is implemented, that will also be implemented, correct?
Yes, when ABOD functionality policy is resumed.
Correct.
Existing functionality is already there, and we will change the system to align with the new HR requirements. So that age change, the new assumptions will,
So the state ABOD and the HR1 ABOD will get implemented at the same time.
yes.
And are both those ready to go?
Because we don't have final policy, and so still waiting for the final policy from CDSS.
Okay.
And I don't want to speak on behalf of CDSS, but they're looking to align, like when we can implement, then the counties, that's when you would need to be ready for, to operationalize that and
Correct.
work it in your county.
But do we know if the state were to say go, will CalSOS be ready? Like I thought last time, February, the CalSOS will be ready until the hold was put on place. Was the February date included was the HR1 changes included in the
Yes.
potential February? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when the state says ABOD policy is effective,
We're ready to go because it was gonna.
CalSAWS will have changes. Yeah,
Perfect. I
absolutely.
just wanted to make sure, because there was two
Yeah.
different,
That's
I was
where
hearing
we're
two
working
different things.
really closely with them on,
Yeah.
we need the policy, and then we will say, here's when we think we could do it.
Yep.
And kind of, work together on that date.
Okay. But the enhancements for HR1 is ready to go from a CalSOS perspective, right? As of February 1st.
No,
that's not true.
They will go at the same time,
There'll be one implementation.
one.
I know, the one implementation, but are we ready to go? Because last time I heard that we were ready to go in February
That was the
until it was put
expected-
on hold.
That was the expected date, yes.
Okay.
So once we get final policy from CDSS, we will work with them to determine what our actual go live date will be. That'll be a collective work with CDSS, because it depends on how long it takes them to get us final policy, and then we have to react to that with other items that we have in the hopper that are also big, as you have been hearing. And so where that will work in, understanding that it's a priority.
Yes. Can I have a follow-up question on that? So, so we'd be implementing the old state, ABOD rules and then the HR1 new ones. When you say enhancements, is that something different, like what we talked about before, enhancing it, or is it just the HR1 policy is the enhancement?
It's just the HR1 policy.
It's just the HR1 policy
And
is
then
the
there's a work
enhancement.
group.
And then we have the work
working on
groups.
Additional enhancements that would come.
That would come in after that, so, okay, just wanted to get them all straight.
But the CLE that just happened is just the state.
Existing functionality.
Correct. It doesn't include the HR1. that training is, the counties will have to do that on their own, correct?
We will probably, we'll do a session on when we have the new changes for HR1 available in an environment. We'll do another session so that, you know, we can record it and then you can share it.
What's on PRT now is the old APOC.
Correct.
Okay.
We don't have enough, we don't know enough about things that are gonna be,
For HR1?
well,
I didn't
we're
even know
still
that
waiting
they-
on the
But
state.
from CDSS.
Yeah.
Items that we're expecting from CDSS.
Yeah, we still.
And there's really no changes to this old state ABOT.
Not really, I mean.
Okay. I don't,
the age-
we don't know.
Not the age.
Just
Well,
the
yeah,
age.
Exactly, what we know today, the age, there's some new exemption, and then, that's it.
The exemptions, the age.
Yeah, I feel like there was three
I feel like there's
things.
one more about
The
that.
removal of the exemptions.
The waiver thing.
So, we aren't anticipating any changes to how the clock and anything like that works, but again, that CDSS is, to determine and put in that.
And then I have one more. On the ad, I should have a limit on the number of questions.
I'm thinking about it.
Reporting. You're releasing queries, right? I just worry about the smaller counties who may not be able to produce reports out of those queries. I don't know how to assist them, how to help them. I mean, many counties have the technical team to be able to run the queries and then generate those reports for their executive level or even their operational managers to understand what the report says and all that good stuff. But sometimes when the smaller counties get the queries, it's like they don't know what to do with it. I mean, that's just the thought. I don't know what else to do with that. And sometimes the queries don't come with documentation, so you don't even know how to manipulate or to view the data so that you can know what it's saying to you, right?
Yeah, I will say for the queries that we'll publish, they will have a description, the design of what the query is doing and what is the intended outcome of it. So that should be clear a lot. We'll also work with the ad hoc team, the CalTech ad hoc team, to publish those in the
Okay.
area as well. So that should be make things easier to get as well. It'll be the sequel for the, as you mentioned, the counties that are comfortable with that, and then we'll work on getting those into the Apex area.
Okay. So Apex is more readable from.
It's a more of an environment that
It's a reporting environment.
it's a reporting.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
You sure?
Yes, thank you.
All right, back to you, Sandra.
So am I noting those as action items? For Michelle, another session for ABOD once the updates are made, and then also for queries to have description designed to be published.
Yep.
Okay. All right, moving along. Any public comments? Yes, Kevin.
Hi, good morning. So it was interesting to see all of these SCRs, and I was wondering if there's any way that we could see those that you are working on, because we don't have access to them. I think I've done a PRA to get copies of the SCRs, and I still don't have these SCRs that are going to go into effect pretty soon. Is it possible to make them public or put them on the webpage so people can see great work you're doing?
They are included in the change control board packet as those go through the process. I don't know if Ashley has any other comments on that.
Yeah, hi Kevin, it's Ashley. Any that have already gone to committee that you've requested, I did send over. I can't, until they are committee approved, I can't give you that documentation, but if you have any specific ones that you're asking about still, feel free to just send it over.
So you all are working on SCRs, talking about SCRs that are going to go into effect. Okay, well, we should have a conversation about that. The other thing is, it's interesting that you have walkthroughs, and we're wondering if those walkthroughs could be open to advocates to also see the work that you all do.
Kevin, we'll take that back. I think we've already responded on the county facing work groups, but we'll take that back.
Yeah. And the final thing is that these 44 requirements that you all have come up with, can we have a copy of those requirements? So maybe we could give you some opinions about it, if you don't mind.
What requirements are you referring to?
He's referring to the
Ad hoc.
Can I get him to confirm before though? Are you referring to the work group? What work group are you?
Ad hoc.
Ad hoc group?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, we would have to look at that. Not all the requirements that are county facing are public. But we'll take that back and we will get back.
Okay, thank you. I'll be waiting.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, I don't see any other public comments, so we'll move on to the next topic. And that's for release and policy update. And Michelle, it's you.
Okay, so this one I'm going to highlight some items in our upcoming releases that we had the October. We shared this the last time, and I talked a little bit about those changes that we already did in October. So we have our 2511 baseline release coming up on Monday, so November 24th, and in there to highlight some of the things we have our CalFresh minimum benefit policy, so that will be in the 2511 release. We have updating SSA values in that release, and some updates to ICT document categories. And then as we move into December, we will have some priority releases, two of which I talked about earlier on the Medi-Cal asset reinstatement and the overdraw expansion freeze. But we also have our SSA COLA, so the batch process associated to that COLA, which we had scheduled for the first weekend in December, but due to the timing of receipt of the numbers, we moved to the 13th of December. Now we are still waiting for, I believe, the pickle number and I think the in-kind. Team is internally talking about what's our drop dead date to keep on track for the 13th, and do we have some alternative options to run majority of that population on the 13th. So definitely more to come, and we'll provide some updates as they come available. And then we are also in a priority release, we have updates to the 2026 meds recon calendar. And then over to January, where we'll have our baseline release in January, and then we also have a few priorities there. One is our SSI COLA, so this is applicable to our CalFresh population. We've been doing this for a few years, and we have a CAPI COLA as well. Providing the CalFresh one there associated to the mass mailer for ABOD. That's really dependent upon when the ABOD policy gets finalized and what the implementation date will be, because that mailer has to go out a certain number of days before. And then we have a priority there to for that income type I talked about earlier with SUA, and then we're updating some RCA and TCBAP time on 8 months.
Yes, I just wanted to add that, well, before we leave from the slide, is that November is actually the first official release for Deloitte as we switch over. Both teams, Deloitte and Accenture, did a great job of working through the shutdown information, where we had a lot of discussion about, how to manage all of that. And so the teams worked really well together on that piece of it. But November is Deloitte's first official release and moving forward. So November is a little bit smaller than some of the other releases. That was intentional. And then, as you've seen, we've had to add all these other releases due to HR1 changes and some of these other may revise changes. So they're often running very quickly.
All right, the next slide. Okay, so here's just highlighting our release coming up on Monday. Testing is all wrapped up. We had our green light meeting yesterday and have a go for that. So everyone's moving into the work that will take place over the weekend. For some communication, we sent out our major upcoming changes document for that 2511 release back in October. We will, probably the first week of December, we'll be sending the major upcoming releases document for our 2601 release. We had our webcast in early November, and our release newsletter and release notes, the final version, earlier this week. And then as we move to Monday, we have our post release daily call. So it'll be Monday through Wednesday. I believe those are at 4 p.m. to talk about any items that come out of that release. So yes, and as Karen mentioned, first Deloitte release. So looking forward to more to come and many big ones in the future, like March and May.
Keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And then back to you. I think, Sandra, that's the last slide I have. I think, anyway.
Right. Thank you, Michelle. All right. Do we have any questions or comments from the PSC? Any in the room?
No.
All right. Thank you. And any public comment? Thank you. Moving along to the next update, it's Benefits Cal, and I have Frederick, owner, and Mufasa.
Hi, this is Frederick. I'll go ahead and start. So we wanted to bring to this forum the Benefits Cal HR1 work groups that we will be beginning next month. So we have the ABOD changes, the CalFresh error rate, and the True implementation work groups that we will be running on the Benefits Cal side. Our timelines, like I said, we will start those in December, except for the True one. As we're going to pause on that one as we pause with the CalSAWS work groups because we're waiting on the procurement from them from the state. We did a soft kickoff, not a hard kickoff, yesterday at our monthly UCD meeting, where we explained what these work groups will be pertaining to do, and also define some of the requirements that we'll be going over as we work through those work groups. So you can read the description of these work groups on the slide deck. I won't go through all of them. One thing that's not listed here on the goals is we will be sharing the requirements that come from the CalSAWS work groups with our Benefits Cal work groups, and they will have the opportunity to provide feedback, and we will return that back to the CalSAWS work groups. Any questions on our Benefits Cal HR1 work groups?
Thank you, Fred. Good morning, everyone. So following the work group updates, this is owner Salmon from the Benefits Cal team. In the next few minutes, I will provide a quick update on where we are in terms of the public-facing enhancements. And I will start with the November release, which is scheduled for tonight. So for the November release, which is 2511, you see on the slide, the key highlight is for our student population applying for CalFresh, we are adding a new exemption for local programs improve employability. That exemption is getting added tonight. In addition to that, throughout the year, we have been adding some new functionalities to apply for benefits flow. And Benefits Cal YouTube channel has a video to assist our customers. In order to reflect those changes, we made changes in our YouTube video for apply for benefits. process, and customers will be able to access the refreshed YouTube video, in the channels after tonight's release. Moving on to the December release, which is 25/12. It's scheduled on the 18th of the month, and the key highlights for this release is, as Michelle mentioned earlier, reinstatement of the asset limits, which is a policy change. We will be making those changes on the benefits side too. And similarly, for the apply for benefits flow, we will be making changes on the videos for our CBO assisters. So the videos created for our CBO community, we will be refreshing those videos and making them available under the Benefits Cal YouTube channel. From the January release standpoint, the key highlights is we will be making changes to improve the usability of the account creation process flow based on what we have been hearing through our UCD and the CX channels, in alignment with our CalSOL's objectives to make it easier for customers. That change is targeted right now for the January release at 26/01. And there is also one changes that we are doing for the refugee cash assistance. There is a policy change regarding individuals in May 2020 becoming eligible for RCA after May of 2025. That will be made change. Those changes will be reflected on Benefits Cal in the January release as well. With that, I will pause here and hand it back to you, Sandra, for any questions. This was the last slide for the Benefits Cal updates.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Umar. Any questions or comments from the PSC? And also, please just make sure you state your name and your county. Thank you. And I see Del.
Good morning, everyone. This is Del Benavides. I had a question regarding the work groups and the work that is going to be looked at there, Frederick. Does the work that is done on the front end for Benefits Cal, does that include the full path into CalSOS? Is that something that is considered together? That's question one. The other one is, are these groups going to look at I think it was BCRs that we submitted. We had put together a set of BCRs. Some of them had enhancements to Benefits Cal that are connected into CalSOS. And those were submitted. I know that we put a pause on the BCR process, but there was a lot of work that was done in that area to figure out what enhancements could help. Is that something that is being reviewed by these teams to see if we can pick them up? One that comes to mind was the address change request. It was an enhancement that when a customer submits a Benefits Cal address change, that comes into CalSOS as a task, and we want that to be flowing directly into CalSOS. And then there may be other things that can be done as well, such as, once there's an address change, asking for the changes of, expenses, shelter expenses and whatnot, things that are connected with it. So are those things looked at as part of these groups? I'm not hearing you. Sorry, I think you're mute.
First question that you asked from the front end, from Benefits Cal to the CalSOS core system, we will be looking at that as the CalSOS core side makes their updates with their work groups as well. Any changes that we put in or we recommend to go in from the Benefits Cal side will be looked at potential impacts as it goes into CalSOS core system. So those things will meet if there is that type of crossover. We definitely will be working through the whole system in that sense. Yes.
So, Del, the BCR process is meant for CalSOS core, and so we do have the collaboration model and some of the that process. That is where those requests are routed. So I don't if you have enhancements that are related to Benefits Cal on the public facing side, that I don't know if that would have necessarily made it into these work groups, but it may come out in the CalSOS work groups, and those will be shared with the Benefits Cal work group.
Thank you. I think that some of the items that we had submitted connect both systems. That's something that we have seen as the system is implemented very decoupled, right? Work doesn't necessarily flow smoothly into CalSOS, and that's something that we want to see improve. I think that's really what I'm trying to highlight, right? Is that we need to, I'm glad to hear that, right, from Frederick, that work that is submitted as far as enhancements, you're looking at the full impact downstream into CalSAS. Because there's some things like, and I keep going back to the address change, that one doesn't necessarily do that, right? That becomes a task for a worker to now call the customer to verify the address change and to enter it into CalSAS. That's manual work that needs to be done. And we need to make sure that any change that we do in Benefits Cal, how does that feed right into CalSAS and reduce the number of rework that has to be done in the back office.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from the PSC? Seeing none, then is there any public comment? Okay, I don't see any, so we'll move along to the next.
I think there's a question.
Oh, there is. Is it in the chat?
Yeah, from Heather.
When is the dates that advocates join the work group? From the slides from yesterday, I was confused. Is our entry into the ABOT group being pushed until January, waiting for CDSS updates?
The Benefits Cal Works groups will start in December. The second week of December. You should receive those invites coming shortly. So everyone that has been pegged to be part of the work groups, they will see those invites.
And Frederick, that's for the advocates as well?
That is the advocate.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for that.
We have other partners in that, but that is the main group is the advocate work group.
Thank you. Okay. I think that answers that question. Okay. Then it will move along to the next topic. And that's collaboration model update. And that is Ashley.
And that is actually a perfect segue. Dell, I think I have a little bit of information for you in the next slide. You've probably seen this timeline before. The little pink star in the middle is kind of our little "you are here" marker. Right now, we are reviewing the initiative requests that were submitted by the advisory group. So they're in their 60-day review period. And then once we get to January, we've marked the date for January 26th for them to come together and review those initiative requests and prioritize them together. So it's a really exciting time. I'm really looking forward to it in January. If you go to the next slide, you can have a quick little breakdown about the topics that were submitted by the various groups. And Dell, I think that the one you are thinking of, unless I'm mistaken, and it is in fact a BCR, it might be one of the initiatives that came through the CWDA work group, because I was peeking at it. And there is the enhanced upload categorization in Benefits Cal does mention submissions for very specific categories like shelter expense. So that may be the one that you're thinking of, in which case the group will be evaluating this and prioritizing it in January. There were other ideas submitted around change reporting, secure uploads and e-signatures, document imaging. Something funny happened to my slide. It was all the same font when I sent it. So sorry if you have to squint there, but really exciting ideas coming through all the different advisory groups that we'll be looking at in January. If you go ahead to the next slide, please. What we'll be using to prioritize the initiatives that are coming through is a change matrix. And this is a way where we can score them all on the same sorts of categories. There's some basics for you here so you can see what we'll be looking at. How does it align to the existing roadmap? How does it impact the user, both customer and CBO? Is it compliance with security and data privacy? And of course, how does this impact the county as far as workload and business process? So when we meet together in January, we'll be evaluating each idea, each initiative, and giving it a score for consistency, which will help us prioritize the list as a whole. I am pretty sure that's the only slide, the last one I have. So I'll turn it back to Sandra.
Thank you, Ashley. All right. Any questions or comments from the PSC? Seeing none. Moving along to public comment. Any public comment? All right, moving along to the next topic. CalSAUS Learning Exchange, and that's Peggy.
And hello. Today I'm covering. Yeah. This is Nicole Nava. Hi, I'm the Customer Engagement Manager under Peggy. That's okay. You didn't know, Sandra. Good morning, everyone. And today I just want to give you an update on our CalSAUS Learning Exchange sessions. So as you all know, the Customer Engagement team tends to host these, and we work in partnership with various teams depending upon the topics that you, the counties, are interested in. And so we've been holding these ongoing. Now we're going to be rolling into 2026, it looks like. And it provides an opportunity for your counties to receive some kind of secondary education on a topic that we may identify through information that they could use a refresher on. And so we're happy to do that. And it's always popular because there's time for question and answers for your staff. And so ongoing, we assess those topics, and if there are particular challenges we're seeing and things like that, or that your county staff are raising to our attention, we do try to prioritize those sessions for consideration. And we do try to at times also plus in county partners to help highlight some of those things that may be helpful for other counties to pick up and run with. All right, so next, please. So in October, we held the very popular ABOD session, so able-bodied adults without dependents, for those of you maybe new to that term. We held that on the 21st and 22nd of October, and the intent was to provide everyone with, of course, an overview of the existing, that available functionality. I want to stress that it's what was currently in the system, with those ABOD specific pages, the work registration automation, manual updates for work registration, batch jobs journals, as you can see, the time limits related to ABOD, and benefits Cal updates. It was an extremely active session. As you can see, we had 2,091 participants, which is crazy high. It was great. We had 55 of our 58 counties represented. It may have even been higher than that. Some people were out that we couldn't confirm with. And those sessions do include our state partners, so thank you for that. And then you'll see on the screen, we always like to provide the path to where you can find these materials. So it is posted on the portal. Next, please. Thank you. So we love to share feedback with you, good, bad, and different. And so right in front of you, you should be seeing what the counties had to say about the session. So that we did have some technical challenges related to the audio. The team had tested exhaustively on this. And so the backup plan was to just do verbal overview if something happened to the audio on the recorded pieces that were embedded. So kudos to the team for stepping in to do that. And so people did note that that was a little bit troublesome for them, but they did find the information comprehensive. Informative was one of them. Awesome. The presenters were great at presenting the sections clearly. Demos were easy to follow along with. Love those demos, even the time limit screenshots, super helpful to visually see. We consistently hear that. They love having those screenshots and, the opportunity to talk about them. Again, more about the demo being very helpful. Took some of the unknowns and the mystery away for them. Hey, that's the whole goal there. Very well organized and kept the attention and curiosity. Always great to hear things like this. So thanks to the team for that. Next. So here, I'll introduce a new slide after this one. This has been the slide you've been used to seeing, and then we kind of had the 2026 on there just as a, this is coming next. So as you can see in October, completed, yay. That one closed out our year. And then the team has already been talking about what you're talking about for potential topics in 2026. So we had seeded February with application registration and had April open, and we had some topics in the hopper. So if you'll go to the next slide, we'll introduce what you will be seeing in the come up year. This will be the timeline we'll operate off of. As we get those topics seated, we will put them in there. As you can see, again, appointment scheduling set for February. However, there is some discussion about maybe subbing a potential other topic to timeliness and interest. So we will be sure to update people at the future meetings. And next slide, so we can talk about what do you do if you have an interest. So For counties who may think, oh, okay, this sounds great. I have something that my staff have been talking about that we'd like to maybe have considered to be covered. So we do socialize these when we identify them via broadcast notifications. So your county's used to looking there for the links and the dates and the times so they can give a heads up to the intended audience, which we also highlight. Again, we like to collaborate with counties who have valuable best practices to share. So if there's something there, please let your RMs know, your regional managers, and they can consider that for potential inclusion in discussion with leadership. And then to request the CalSAWS Learning Exchange topic, you can bring it up at your regional meeting or just side message your regional manager team with the content you'd like to hear about, how important you think it is, that kind of thing. And then that really helps us in any specific things you kind of would like to have covered. And with that, I think that's it for me. And I would go back to Sandra.
Thank you, Nicole. And thank you for sharing this next steps, because that'll be really helpful for us with all the changes coming. Any questions or comments from the PSC? Seeing none. Moving along to any public comment. All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next topic. And next topic is transition update, and that'll be Rashish.
Thank you, Sandra. Good morning. My name is Rajesh Tahliani, and I'll be providing update on M&E transition. The big update here is we have now officially transitioned most of the M&E activities from Accenture to Deloitte. I do want to acknowledge the collaboration, cooperation, and the guidance from Accenture, Gainwell, ClearBest, and Consortium. I strongly believe that that was, key to us getting here. We do have significant work ahead of us, but nevertheless, this is a big milestone, and we officially are now what I call as hands on the keyboard for the most part all the M&E activities on CalSAWS. Few big milestones we have accomplished in the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. We started with our first release in production, SUA release, which Michelle mentioned on October 30th, followed by we have already done 2 more priority releases. In addition, our production operations activities, we took over those starting November 1st. Primarily in 2 areas, our responsibilities lie. One is the batch operations, and the second is the incident triage. On the batch operations, we did go through few litmus tests in the last 2 weeks. We had to support the shutdown related activities. In addition, we also did a small cola run for San Francisco. So all in all, activities continue to proceed per plan on batch operations. On incident triage, we continue to stay on top of that. Our backlog typically is between 1.5 to 2 days. In fact, when I looked at the numbers this morning, we are about a day worth of tickets, roughly 45 or so. So all in all, I think activities are proceeding well. If you could go to the next slide. So on the transition front, as I mentioned, almost majority of the transition activities are complete, with the exception of we have some ad hoc reporting for DSCS and CDSS. That is per plan, continue to stay with Accenture through end of January, and then Deloitte will transition those activities February 1st. But for the most part, the transition is behind, and now our focus remains on releases and cola runs and all the items related to HR. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. I won't go into the details. Michelle and Karen already covered. Our big milestone is this weekend, which is 25.11. This will be the biggest release so far, but again, compared to our typical releases, it is still fairly small, and that was intentional. As we go into January and March and May, the releases will get bigger and bigger. So that's all on plan. It's approved, good to go this weekend in production. 26.01 design nearly complete, and now we are in the build phase and early testing phases. 26.03, the design is just starting. Then if you look at the mid section, which is the Cal here releases, 26.02 design and build is complete, and we are starting testing. That also we should finish ahead of time on that front. And then 26.04, we are just starting the design. then the priority releases continue to go as planned. So overall, roughly 7 months into transition activities are complete, and now our focus remains on going forward, maintaining the M&E system. Questions?
All done? Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the PSC? Okay, seeing none. Any public comment? All right, moving along to the next topic is quarterly performance trends, and that it will be Dawn, Lisa, and Sarah.
All right, hello everyone. Lisa Salas here. I'll kick us off and we'll talk about the application quarterly statistics. So this should be fairly familiar. So I'll scroll through the M&E ones here. Oh, you can stay on the first slide. So one of the goals as we've worked through this transition, you just heard from Rajesh, is continue to deliver the SCRs and the system changes that you've all needed over this past year while maintaining a stable system and high quality. So first slide here talks about rework, and so you'll see the numbers continue to be very low and in the green, which is positive, indicating quality code that's going into the system. Next slide. This one, new and one time only, if you will, for this meeting. One of the goals again was to drive down the production defects. So we had a goal to get to 0. So for any production defect that was identified as of October 24th, we were able to work those and deliver those into production in time for handing over the code base and switching keyboards, if you will, from myself and my team to Rajesh and his team. So as of November 6th, we did get through all those defects that were in our queue. Next slide is the service level agreements that we have, and these are the current service level agreements. So next time you'll see these, Rajesh will highlight and be able to indicate where some of these are different and changing as you head into the future. So these are current, and as you may recall, last month I did talk about that one red dot that you see in September. That was so the day of the 2509 release, there was about 45 minutes of slowness in the morning, a long running query that did impact EDBC performance and response time back in September. So the target is 99% of all EDBCs complete in under 2 seconds. I think we're at 99.84. Nonetheless, it was a miss, and that slowness was noticed by folks, workers using the system at the time. So damages were paid for that. That's the end of M&E, and I'll turn this over to Dawn, the infrastructure.
So from an infrastructure perspective, as you can see on the slide, our quarterlies were all green. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time discussing it. We did not have anything to really highlight on this slide, but I will go ahead and turn it over to Sarah with Highland for the next step.
Thank you, Dawn. Also, for Highland Imaging, we were all green for the quarter. So not a lot to report, which is a good thing. So I won't spend a lot of time either, but if there are any questions at the end, happy to take them. Thank you.
So off the benefits cal, I believe.
All right, the moment you've all been waiting for, everybody wake up. We are also green, even though the bars are teal. It was pointed out to me rather than green. We will work on that for future updates, but we are in the green. Back to the chair.
Thank you. That's all good updates. Any questions or comments from the PSC? All right. Moving on to public comment. Any public comment? And we're getting to our last topic, state partners updates. And do we have OTSI on the line?
Good morning. This is Patrice Yang from OTSI. On November 5th, OTSI formally submitted the CalSAWS Gainwell Central Print Amendment 3 to CMS for review and approval. A courtesy copy was also provided to FNS, who confirmed their review is not required since this amendment is operational in nature. And that's all from OTSI. Thank you very much.
Thank you. CDSS?
Yes, hi, good morning. Martha Esparza, CDSS. I'm going to be providing a high-level update on the policy letters recently released since our last PSC meeting. Then I'm going to be passing it over to Emily for some engagement and HR1 updates. So for the CalFresh program, we had ACL 2568, which is the guidance on FNS final rule for SUA and SUA's eligibility changes under HR1. There is 2575, guidance on impacts of the federal government shutdown, CalFresh funding for October, November of 2025, and CalWorks funding for November of 2025. There's ACL 2579, which confirms the one-year ABOD time limit waiver for Colusa, Imperial, and Tulare County, which runs from November the 1st of 2025 through October the 31st of 2026. And for the CalWorks program, we have ACL 2578, overview of major transforming CalWorks initiative changes. 2574, which eliminates the work participation rate penalty pass-through. 2565, which increases the CalWorks resource limit. And then we have the 2570, which updates the welfare to work notices of action. So CDSS has definitely been busy. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over now to Emily for the further updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. So regarding HR1 implementation, CDSS continues leading the all-partner HR1 implementation advisory group, next convening on Tuesday, December 9th. This group includes county partners, advocate partners, and CalSAWS, and has been a terrific collaboration point for CDSS to align policy nuances regarding the implementation of HR1 provisions. Regarding the ABOD work requirements, we appreciate county's collaboration. And as you've all seen through the PSC updates today, no one is unaffected by the ABOD changes. And we really do appreciate the robust collaboration we're seeing with CalSAWS and with counties. And while an implementation date has not yet been identified, we're working around the clock to land the policy details we need to release formal policy guidance. We are tracking a handful of different memos released by the USDA FNS, waivers that specify lack of sufficient jobs criteria, essentially terminated California's previous ABOD waiver. However, California was approved for a one-year waiver for select counties, Colusa, Imperial, and Tulare, effective November 1st of this year. And then FNS has provided additional guidance on ABOD exemptions. In addition, the CDSS submitted a waiver modification request for the previously mentioned ABOD waiver that would include Plumas, Alpine, Merced, and Monterey to have those counties included in the one-year waiver along with Colusa, Imperial, and Tulare counties. And this modification is pending FNS approval. Moving on to non-citizen eligibility changes for CalFresh resulting from HR1. Again, we're working around the clock to land the policy details, but at this time, an implementation date is not yet identified. We'll be providing policy guidance as soon as we're able. And we're in the process of incorporating FNS guidance delivered in a memo that was issued at the end of October 31st, which provides new criteria that will be applied at initial certification and recertification, hoping to clarify that no mid-period reporting will be required for non-citizen eligibility changes. And then lastly, I think we all owe ourselves a firm round of applause and personal gratitude in the close collaboration CDSS has had with CalSAWS over the last 6 or so weeks in response to the federal shutdown. It has been a trial for all parties and truly appreciative of the close collaboration and partnership to quickly implement system changes, process changes, as we needed to respond to daily changes in policy guidance from USDA. I think that's it for CDSS. Thank you all.
Thank you. And DHCS?
Hi, good morning. This is Katie Mead from DHCS. Just a quick few updates. Some of this has already been touched on earlier in the meeting, so this will be a refresher. But DHCS is continuing their county support calls for both the state budget updates and HR1 updates. This week on November 17th, DHCS and counties met for a Q&A discussion regarding this unsatisfactory immigration status population freeze, otherwise known as UIS population freeze, and the reinstatement of asset limits. December 9th, counties, excuse me, so sorry. On December 9th, county support call, DHCS will, with the assistance of CalSOG and CalHERS, review the system updates to accommodate the state budget changes. DHCS is anticipating another county support call on December 16th. And as of today, I wasn't able to find the topic, so there will be more to come on that. And as mentioned, the UIS freeze will be implemented in both CalSAWS and CalHERS effective January 1st, 2026. Informational notices are being sent out to the impacted population. This effort started on November 7th and is expected to be completed by November 26th. A copy of the notice can be found in Needle 25-22. DHCS also released Needle 25-27. This needle has additional resources for county staff, including an updated immigration chart. Last month, I talked a little bit about the reinstatement of assets. And so this, just as a refresher, this will also go live on January 1st, 2026. As to my knowledge, all the informational letters have gone out. Counties can find a copy of the information letter within Needle 25-23. Again, that's 25-23. And those are all of my updates. So I will send it back over to, I believe, Sandra.
Thank you. And I do want to say thank you all for working so well with us, and thank you for all the partnership to getting monies out to our customers so quickly once all this ended. So we appreciate all that collaboration that went on behind the scenes. Any comments or any questions or comments from the PSC? Okay, seeing none. Any public comment? All right, then that is going to do it for us.
Hold on.
Julia?
Before we adjourn, Sandra, two things. First, I want to say thank you for acknowledging that hard work. These teams worked tirelessly to make sure that, Californians had their food benefits out. So the shout out and the kudos is appreciated from the team. And then second, good news is, don't forget, we don't have a PSC in December. So I want to make sure you let people know before we adjourn.
Yes, definitely. No PSC meeting in December. And for all of you, I hope you have a very happy holidays coming up. Enjoy a lot of good food and family and friends. And hopefully everybody gets lots of rest, because we need it after these few weeks that we've all had. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.